like, dude, it's taking forever. Sorry about that. Hey guys, and welcome to my first of some shows I'm gonna be doing. They're only gonna be my goal is to make them no more than 10 to 15 minutes long. But this review will be about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Now, I know what you're all saying. That movie's at least 2 years old. But I just saw it on Netflix. I've been dying to see it. Yo, I loved it. I always say that as a minority, I'm a minority in 3 different ways. I'll name 2 in this video, and the third we can talk about in another time. But I'm a black man, and I'm a disabled black man. That is how I choose to define myself. That may change in the future depending on what definitions I want to give myself and the changes that I most certainly will go through. So look out for that. But my point being that those are 2, I don't want to say crosses that I have to bear, because there's no shame or ire or contempt in either one of those definitions of myself. That is a major part of who I am. But sometimes I feel like a limited amount of people understand what I'm going through. And let me just say, from a general context, I'm gonna get into the awesome fact that Miles Morales is a Latino African American, half Latino, half African American. I'm assuming. No, I am right. But the secondary of that story, or at least the secondary for me, it wasn't the secondary of the film, but the secondary of that film is that, when Peter Parker dies in his and spoiler alert for those of you that haven't seen it, when Peter Parker dies, in his universe, that is subsequently right after, or at least shortly, very, very shortly after, like 5 minutes after within the movie's context and runtime, that he gets bitten by a radioactive spider. Miles is, I believe the technical term is a tagger, in New York City. And for those of you guys that don't know the slang term of it, he's basically a graffiti artist. And he does his graffiti through spray paint, but he's also unbelievably intelligent. So he starts out the movie thinking he's alone. Subsequent things happen. He realizes, in some sense, he's a part of one dimension of the universe, one dimension of reality. And so the quest continues. I really love the sense of camaraderie and coming of age with the story of Miles Morales. I have been a huge fan of the Peter Parker iteration of Spider-Man for literally years, since I was like 7 years old. But this iteration is fresh, it's new, it's multi-layered, multi-racial, and yes, I do love that fact, so sue me. It's multifaceted. There's a Spider-Woman in the film. There's a cartoon pig in the film that didn't need to be there, in my opinion. But other than that, it's a really solid film. Now, structurally, number one for me why I love this film. As I said, in my everyday life, I am a disabled black man. Plus a third minority that I'll get into, a third minority group. I'm a part of a third minority group that I'll get into at a later date. But I am, in my own definition, and proudly so, an African-American disabled man. And being a part of those two minority groups, you sort of do feel like, especially when you're coming of age, and especially when I was this age, you sort of feel like nobody understands your true struggle, or the fact that you have two true struggles in your life, trying to find out who you are within this multi-layered, multi-diverse, multi-faceted sense of reality. I have always prided myself on both slices of the magical pie that I am, so to speak. But in defending and in cultivating the individual, the personality, the multi-layered person I want to be, those two definitions, believe it or not, sometimes they parallel and sometimes they are completely differing. And it's hard to know where to go, what to do. It's hard when people have preconceived notions about what your abilities are or what your sort of skill set is because of a particular false narrative that somebody else may see in you based on a preconceived notion. In this movie, it was age and inexperience and skepticism. In my case, it was the fact that I rely and live my life very heavily in a wheelchair. The fact that I was raised by a single parent, and the fact that I'm very, very sensitive to certain things in my life. People didn't know if I had the basic guts to sort of create my own narrative about who I was. So, with Miles' inexperience and him being so young and kind of new to this whole thing, his friends who came to help him out sort of helped him cultivate this confidence, and he's going through a lot. But I won't tell the whole film, but overall, really, really great depiction. I'm so glad I saw it. And I really enjoyed this film, so I would recommend it. It's on Netflix now. Netflix is not sponsoring this video. I thank you for watching. I thank you for clicking on this video, and y'all have a wonderful night. Alright, bye-bye. Go watch the film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, out now on Netflix. Bye-bye.